Hey everyone, I'm recording Rissa. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. You're watching my 10-minute neuroscience video on the effects of LSD on the brain. Thank you so much, like I said, for stopping by. If you like the content, please like it and maybe even subscribe to it. I'm really doing my best to put out more science-based content. So if people like it, I'll definitely keep making it. If you don't like it, I'll probably still keep making it, but just probably not as much. All right, everyone, let's jump on into it. I'm going to be talking about the three main neurotransmitters that affects our brain, affects our brain while we're on LSD. While you're on LSD, or whoever the universe will be, not me though. I don't do that stuff. But whoever is doing it, how their brain will be affected by LSD. All right, let's jump on into it, okay? So a neurotransmitter, first of all, is a chemical messenger that allows us to perceive the world around us, right? So we have a bunch of neurotransmitters that are like chemical messengers all over, okay? So we're going to be talking about three of them, and we're going to be talking about serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Okay, and those are the big three when it comes to LSD. So let's kick it off with serotonin, and I'll explain how serotonin makes us feel trippy. We kick things off with serotonin, our first neurotransmitter. And serotonin plays a crucial role in how we regulate our mood, how we perceive things, and our cognitive abilities, right? So LSD acts on a lot of different serotonin receptors, but we're going to look at this particular receptor called the 5-HT2A receptor. And this is what is really going to be examined for and how we describe the hallucinations experienced with LSD, right? So these receptors, the 5-HT2A ones, they're found in the visual cortex, in your limbic system, and in your sensory processing areas, all of which do get affected when you're on LSD. Think of visual hallucinations, you think of elevated mood, and also think of auditory hallucinations, feeling different, So that's a big part of it. So how does this work? So LSD is a potent agonist of the 5-HT2A receptor. This means that it binds to these receptors and activates them, mimicking or amplifying the effects of serotonin. So it kind of makes it seem like, either mimicking or amplifying the effects of serotonin. So I don't know which it is for sure, so I don't want to be wrong. If anyone in the comments knows, that was a little thing that I wasn't sure about. So let's get back to the topic. Sorry, I get so distracted. But yeah, anyways, like I was saying, LSD is not gonna, mimic serotonin in a straightforward way. It's super complex and varies from person to person, and it's definitely unpredictable. We don't always know how LSD is going to affect our serotonin levels, how our trip is going to go. We don't know how that is really going to play out. We're just hoping for the best, right? So the activation of the 5-HT2A receptors in the brain by LSD causes alterations in your brain activity, particularly in the sensory processing regions. I think that's around here and here, like the visual cortex is back here, and the thalamus. So these areas, when they're being activated by the 5-HT2A receptors with LSD, they're going to give you altered perceptions of reality, like visual alterations as well, if you know what I mean. All right, so the visual cortex is responsible for processing all our visual information, and the other brain areas that process sensory data become really sensitive and distorted under the influence of LSD. And this is going to lead to characteristic visual hallucinations that we're used to seeing or hearing about. I'm not talking about me, I promise. I am literally just speaking in the universal we. And I just do that. I don't know, I'm used to writing like that, so that's how I speak when I'm trying to do a docu thingy. And I'm running out of time, so let me keep it short. So LSD disrupts normal sensory integration and processing, which causes your brain to misinterpret sensory input, causing, again, hallucinations, both visual and auditory. Additionally, LSD's serotonin systems can alter your emotional, like I said, and cognitive processing. And this is going to contribute to those really intense feelings and altered thoughts, like even like ego dissociation and just like extreme self-awareness, maybe, which is pretty common, I believe, on psychedelic trips. So now that we've talked about serotonin, let's look at dopamine. So LSD increases the dopamine in your brain, right? And LSD induced dopamine increases can cause the emotional intensity of those perceptions, which like makes our makes the hallucinations, whether visual or auditory, have more of a significance to us, you know, because of that more emotional factor from the dopamine. And this increased dopamine activity may cause an overactive, like salience attribution, which means that random normal things like seeing a light bulb, you know, not on acid, you're not going to look twice. It's still a stimulus and you can still like, you know, perceive it, you see it, but you're never going to think twice about the light bulb. Whereas on acid, because of the dopamine being increased in your brain, you may, you know, look at the light bulb and it may seem like it's burning super bright, like a heavenly bright, you know, and you attribute some kind of emotional attachment to that light. That's how the LSD is working on your brain. And so dopamine dysregulation, specifically in the mesolimbic and mesocortical pathways, is linked to those schizophrenia-like symptoms, such as delusions and hallucinations that seem like psychosis, you know? So just keep that in mind as well. All right, we're on to number 3, our final neurotransmitter, and I think I'm doing pretty okay on time. So the last one is norepinephrine, also known as noradrenaline. Noradrenaline. That's why I just say norepinephrine. And it's a neurotransmitter that's involved with the body's fight or flight, fight or flight response. Okay, I have to do it because I love it every time. Fight or flight. And so this is the fight or flight response is important in regulating your alertness, your attention, your arousal, especially in situations that are, you know, you really need to be alert and like have your heart rate elevated and be, you know, so again, fight or flight neurotransmitter. So keep that in mind. So LSD can increase the amount of norepinephrine that's released in your brain, particularly in the areas that regulate the autonomic nervous system. And this is going to lead to heightened physiological arousal. And arousal means like increased heart rate and blood pressure and like physically aroused, so not the other aroused, okay? But this can also contribute to the feelings of excitement and agitation or even fear during a trip. Think of again, fight or flight response. That's the norepinephrine is the neurotransmitter that's going to be involved with that. So if you're triggering that neurotransmitter, your fight or flight neurotransmitter, you are going to feel a little bit more agitation or excitement or again, even fear, you know. So how does norepinephrine contribute to the hallucinations? So increased norepinephrine activity in the brain might contribute to heightened vigilance and arousal, which can amplify the sensory experiences that accompany hallucinations. It may make the visual or auditory hallucinations feel more vivid, intense, or even unsettling. You really, you know, it's really activating that neurotransmitter. So the thalamus, which is involved in relaying sensory information to the cortex, has a significant number of norepinephrine receptors. And increased norepinephrine activity in the thalamus will affect how the brain processes sensory input and potentially enhancing the intensity of those hallucinations or creating a hyper alert state, which you can misinterpret stimuli or they may be exaggerated. Okay, think back to my light bulb example earlier. You could also, again, the light bulb's burning brighter because you're maybe looking at it like, and again, the norepinephrine in your brain mixed with the dopamine, is really, probably making it look ooh. And so norepinephrine is also going to influence your mood and anxiety, right? So when norepinephrine is released and it's altered by LSD, it might contribute to the heightened sense of emotional volatility or distress, which can lead to anxiety or paranoia during the psychedelic experience. So I guess bad trips would mean like there's a lot of norepinephrine being produced, maybe. I'm not sure about that. Someone in the comments let me know, but that's what it's sounding like. And in turn, this, the nature of those hallucination affects how people respond to them during the trip. And this is going to create like a synergy. There's a synergy between all three of these, right? So serotonin is driving the alteration of perception in order to make stimuli appear warped or entirely new. Dopamine is going to enhance the emotional intensity and that reward related salience. So you're going to really associate strong feelings with this, right? And norepinephrine amplifies the arousal and attention, potentially making the sensory input seem really vivid and affecting how the brain is going to integrate that information. And now this interaction is going to create a feedback loop, right? In which sensory experiences, the hallucinations, are amplified. So those are the three neurotransmitters that contribute to the profound and varied nature of the hallucinations produced by LSD. And, we hear a lot of different stories, a lot of different recounts, but everyone has a different experience. Everyone has a different story because it really does activate on your brain's own chemistry. All right, I really hope that you like this video. I hope it wasn't too long. And if you want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. And I really appreciate every view. I'm so serious. And every single subscriber. You guys are the best. Thank you for always coming back to watch a couple videos. I love you all, every viewer, and I'll see you soon. Recording Rissa out.